Hello and welcome to the Tarkus Zone. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be showcasing yet again the game Ars Notoria. It's here on the Steam page. It is not out yet. It's going to be coming out into a beta test or demo test shortly. I just want to tell you quickly a little bit about the game. Explore the fantasy world of Ars Notoria, a survival action RPG inside an open world sandbox that lets you hunt powerful possessed creatures, strike out on your own, or play together with friends to build a sprawling faction, utilizing deep crafting mechanics and strategic recruiting of allies. This game is going to allow those people who like to build bases, castles, or whatnot in the game. You'll be able to, there'll be a crafting system in the game where you make items for you and your comrades. They haven't really come out with the definite amount of players that will be able to play on one server. I guess that will be figured out during the demo or a beta release or an alpha release. I know the content is balanced for a group of 4. So that's, you know, if you're going to go out, this game's going to allow you to go out and do questing and tackle dungeons and monsters and balanced content around players, 4 players. I guess you can show up with more than 4 players because they're not locked instances, I don't think. So if you have 8 guys with you and you do the dungeon, it's just going to be easier for you. And I don't know over time if they'll scale that, or, you know, they might come to the conclusion that their content needs to be scaled for 8 adventurers and not just 4. But that doesn't mean you can't have more on the server, on the world. So Tarkus could be at his house just making armor sets all day, and then people are out adventuring all day, so they're doing their adventuring and I'm just doing my crafting. That's the kind of thing this game's going to allow you to do. So you could have multiple groups of 4 people moving around the world. This game is not going to have PvP. It's going to be a PvE experience. So it's going to be you're working with people against the world, against the questing system that these developers have made. All right. With that said, again, it's coming soon. They're hoping to release it very soon. This is the January 15 journal update, the last journal update that they have. And this video we're going to really watch real quick just to look at it. And this is really showing you what they're offering you with the building components of this game. And I think their videos are really heavy on this. I would like to see a few more videos that were action-packed, but they might be just working on the combat system still. Here, it's just showing you that you can change the wallpaper, the paint, put railings up, put chandeliers up, even put a fascia on the ceilings. I mean, it's going to be really in-depth. Now, do keep in mind that they're going to make you go out and get the resources to build this thing. So it's not like a free build game. You'll have to go cut trees down. You'll have to go mine nodes. You might have to even go find recipes to build some of this stuff. So you might not be able to build a chandelier until you find a recipe, go to the blacksmith anvil or whatever it is, and make the item yourself. And you might have to be a certain level in blacksmithing to do that. I don't know how in depth it's going to be, but it sounds like it is going to be quite fun for those people who like to build. Let's just forward this video a little bit here. See, it's really gonna, you know, it's just, all right. So it's going to be a lot of very detailed placements of things. And in that video, they're just showing you, oh, well, what's these videos here? Okay, let's see here. All right, here's a little, oh no, this is the same video that we've seen before. When I mean I want to see a video with, I mean, I'd like to see like a video with just gameplay, you know, creature hunting gameplay, or just some, I'll imagine they'll come out and do it. Do that. Now I want to move on. Oh wow, look at that staircase. That is going to be neat. That is neat. That is neat. All right. So moving forward, what I wanted to do in this video is just take a little bit of time to go over to the Discord. And I haven't been on the Discord for a little while now. I kind of been showcasing other games on my channel. Meet Your Maker was one of them. It just ended in beta, so I'm moving on to looking at another demo or another beta that I want to play and showcase. This one's coming soon, so why not get this on my channel so that you guys can see what it's about. Now, I'm seeing this, 11 new messages since I last looked at this. So I'm looking at what this is telling me when I'm looking at this. There's a question area where people can ask questions, and the developer here is answering them. And they seem to be answering them timely. And I made this mention in my last Ars Notoria video that the developers are really been savvy at communicating the questions. And then we're going to look at, I'm going to cherry pick some of these things. We're going to read answers. We're going to assume what the question would be based on the answer. So the implementation of digging and terrain modification mechanics will also need to be converted into the current landscape terrain into a voxel-based one. So that what they're hoping is to finally create the world almost like a Minecraft, where you'll be able to dig, move pixels around. So a lot of early games are doing that. They're really thinking about allowing the people that are on the world to go into a voxel world. Voxel-based terrain where we can check that everything can be adapted without issues. There's another bonus in terraforming a voxel-based landscape with them. It's possible to have custom, fully procedural generated maps. Okay, so basically what he's saying is once they do a voxel-based and you decide to start a server up, you can have it generate a random procedural map that is different than any other server that might be out there. And that's the gist of it. It allows for more customization, whereas some games, the terrain is completely locked. It never changes. You can manipulate it a little bit. You can cut trees down, mine nodes, do some towns are fixed, and rivers are fixed, mountains are fixed, and you have to, like Skyrim, you just have to go around the terrain. In a voxel-based world, you can manipulate it, and the system can generate something at random. I don't know how the town buildings are going to work. That's going to be some coding, but I imagine it's going to work, because in a lot of games that require high questing aspects, usually you need fixed access for that, like dungeon entrances, towns, for the lore or the questing element. So I don't know if you're procedurally generating this willy-nilly in a voxel map, how are the other components of the world going to be put on that map? I don't know the answer to that. They obviously must understand that. All right, let's look to this answer. Hi, at this moment we don't have disease in the game, but there are other gameplay effects related to the weather. They are mostly connected to the elements, effects, and magic system. For example, it's easier to inflict various frosty buffs when the environment temperature is low. All right, so let's go down to there. Yeah, right now it's a single region with multiple zones. That's what we were just talking about. About other regions I mentioned earlier that we want to try implementing. Okay, so the set regions might be set, and the rest of the world becomes voxel terrain. In the testing branch in the future, which will allow digging terrain modifications, but it will also make possible to have fully procedurally generated regions. So with that system, it might be possible to have other regions that won't have the same story progression like the main one, but still will support sandbike survival gameplay. Okay, so that just answered the pitfalls of what I was just mentioning before. All right, so there might be two different game modes. A voxel game mode that does have one or two maps that are set, and then the other game mode, which is everything set and there's no voxel game mode. All right, so the next thing we got here, you mean transmogrification like in WoW, Diablo? Will we have a similar functionality which allows a changing of the appearance of armor weapons with another item? So reskinning, basically. The requirements will be unlocking both crafting recipes, actual items, and another one that is used for appearances. and some resource costs, similar to normal crafting. So it looks like you can reskin. Basically what I get there, you can reskin if you go to your anvil, use some materials and reskin it to what you want it to look like. That's what I'm seeing here. Okay, so the next thing is for small things like the game mechanics, items, abilities, and enemies can be anything. Other game, movies, reading, etc. Usually we just write down ideas that seem pretty cool, then check out whether they can fit into the game and if it can work. In general, we inspire us to develop the game. We love games a lot, especially RPGs. So I started as a hobby project that we worked on in our free time. We really like the idea of combining RPG features with the survival game mechanics and a lot of customization. So eventually it'll grow into a full-time project for us. Okay, so that was their question and answers. Now let's go to just the general chat. There's 32 messages here. I'm not going to bog us down in all 32. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit here. So I'll just look at some of the recent stuff. Yeah, we have 3 tiers of basic ore metals: iron, steel, adamite, which are used for generic crafting buildings. And then there are specific ores that are called shards. There are 18 types of them, and they are used for advanced crafting weapons and armor sets. Of course, we still explore and find and get them. Love it. Okay, so it's just, you have to explore, find them. I feel that you can, okay, I'm just moving on. In early access, we plan to have 6 different zones: the capital city and with its outskirts. We don't have expected days yet, but we want to start a closed testing soon, later this month or in March. And depending on how well the testing goes, we will decide on that release date. Yeah, there is farming and cooking systems. I think we have around 50 food ingredients right now, and somewhere between 10 to 20 crop vegetable fruits to grow. There are roaming animals like rats, wolves, bears, boars, deers, and also have advanced magical versions like Frost Wolf, and each elemental version has unique spells. All right, here is an example of an in-game music. Do I need to turn this up? Do I not have this up? I don't know. So this is just a little bit of the, and this is their build. I'm fast forwarding it here. So they're obviously in free build mode, and obviously it's going to take you a long time to get those materials to build that structure. All right, going down. Okay, some suggestions. Okay, mushrooms. Okay, that's somebody suggesting. There are weapon types that are multiple tiers, variations, and unique weapons in each type. All right, there are several mushrooms that can be used for cooking and crafting. We also have 9 basic tools, from axe, shovel, pickaxe, hoe, saw, sickle, knife, bar, and sledgehammer. I mean, is that supposed to be crowbar, maybe? I don't know. There is a special crafting table for each profession. 9 of the harvesting ones and 9 for the artisans. No fishing yet. I would like to add one, but first need to create some interesting mechanics for it. About portals. We use some for testing now, and looks like they are going to stay. What are spawners? We don't have sugarcane or flint now. What would they be used for? Okay, going down. Yeah, at some point of development, we had flint as a crafting material, but it wasn't used that much in crafting recipes, so we replaced it with other resources. Eventually, we'll still have assets, icons, models for it. Though we have aloe vera, and some other medical herbs and resources for herbalists, apothecary, to create potions, ointments, and palm trees and sugar canes are quite hard to fit in because we don't really have tropical beaches. Mechanically, it's very easy to implement, and we are spawning enemies for testing anyway. But the main problem would be to explain how it works in general gameplay. Okay, moving on. Yeah, there's an NPC trader in settlements. Okay. There is a large capital city with the outskirts it has guilds, workshops, traders, and smaller settlements in other zones like villages, outposts, and military camps. There's a button for category selection, weapons, armors. All right, so that's in the sorting of inventory. I added buttons for the transferring all items. It works with a filtering, so you can select a type of weapon tools or a more detailed one from the list, like potions, and then transfer all of that at the same time. So you get to choose, like if I want to transfer all my swords to a chest or something like cotton that I might have, I can just click on that and it moves it all. It doesn't move everything in my inventory. It just moves that one item, which would be good. All right. For resources like iron and stone, we have a bit different system. There is a global storage, and mostly you won't need to micromanage it. There is still an option to store resources in containers if needed. And inventory is for equipable consumable items. Okay, so you have inventory for equipable and consumable items. Yeah, sure. Everyone will be able to join once we start to play. Okay, so they're going to have an open play test. It's going to be directly open on Steam. Scrolling down, so, and then that concludes that bucket of information. Let me just go, and I'm cherry picking here again, and I was just going through the developers' answers. With the answer, you can just really assume what the question was. So let's go to general chat real quick. There's only 9 messages here. Let me just look at the latest one. We have horses implemented and plan to add wild animal taming later. There's also a farmer profession which is focused on growing crops, vegetable fruits, and also includes some farm animals, cows, pigs, goats, and chickens. They are all have gameplay uses, like providing resources for cooking and crafting. All right, let's look up here. Is there another? No. So there it is. I mean, I think I gave you some really good information up to this point. It's going to be coming out soon, I imagine, and soon meaning that it's going to go into its testing. It's comparing this game to Frozen Flame and Valheim in a sense that it's a building. It's got a lot of building mechanics to it. It's got crafting, and well, obviously we just went all over that. So that's where it's compare. I mean, I think the uniqueness to this game is its questing system. It's going out and doing really some neat, well thought out designed quests. In addition to coming back to your home and then building your base. You know, and so there's 2 aspects to it. Go out and adventure, and then come back and sit in your chair and look at your spoils of war. Take my money already. Play the game. Private dedicated servers. Oh wait, okay. Discord invite. Steam page is invalid. Is that what is to expect? Steam and okay. So let's look at invite to Steam invalid. Okay, this is just a question. No one replied. Okay, let's look at the ones that anyone replied. Private dedicated servers. Private dedicated servers. Will there be private dedicated servers that we can run on our own? Hi. Yeah, we plan to add the functionality to set up your own dedicated server. Shut up and take my money. Okay, maybe. I am hyped up about this. Awesome. Thanks for the quick response. The RPG looks too good to be true, but fingers crossed. Well, yeah, I guess it kind of does. I mean, I've been doing video game playing. I used to develop and help code video games back in the day, way like 20 years ago. I grew up with Pong. I grew up when Pac-Man was invented. I grew up when Donkey Kong was invented. I grew up before the internet. So, for me, I've seen a full gamut of games throughout my time on this planet, and I spend most of my time nowadays looking at games, reviewing games, playing games, and there's some games I really enjoy myself, and this game looks like it's right up my alley. It looks like it's going to be a very well thought out development project that they're doing. And the fact being is they've taken the PvP elements out of it. So it's more or less a game where you play with friends, you have challenging encounters with bosses, mini bosses, world bosses, dungeons, and then you all can hang out in your house or build whatever it is that you want to build. And then you've got props to saying, look at my house, look how it is, you know. And I think this game is going to be up a lot of people's alley. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this game when it comes out. I know I'm going to, and I can't wait for the testing. And I'm hoping that if the developer decides that they're going to do closed testing, that I get an invite, or I at least get a code that allows me to do some of the game testing, because I'm really good at that. And especially if it's a beta test or an alpha test, I'm really good at doing stuff like that. And hopefully they won't lock me into a non-talk agreement where I can actually play the game, record what I'm doing, so that I can highlight the game for them. Because that's what Meet the Maker just did for me, or for them too, was allow them to put the game out, a beta test, and then I did a whole bunch of videos around the game. So that really helps hype their game up. So when it does release on April 4th, people can buy the game. They'll see what the game's about. And I'm hoping to be able to try to do that kind of thing with this game, is try to get people hyped up, because I'd like to be on a server. I mean, if they can get 50 people on a server, maybe it's only 10 people on a server, maybe there's only 20 people on a server. But if they can get, I mean, my comfortability would be at least 10 plus, at least, you know, consecutive playing, 10 people on the server at one time, whereas normally the server can hold as many people as you want, just only 10 or 20 can be on at a time. And if it gets too popular, or your server gets too popular, they might have to put a kick function in where somebody's just AFK for 15 minutes, they get kicked, meaning making a spot for a newer player. I believe also they said they were going to have their own public servers for this game. Well, I hope you enjoyed my video today, and thank you for joining me. This has been the Tarkus Zone.